Hey everyone, let's take a look at solving a quadratic inequality here, okay? Well, x squared plus 2x minus 8 is greater than 0. We're going to go ahead and factor this thing down. So we're going to, once you factor, you're going to end up with x plus 4 and x minus 2, right? Is greater than 0. 4 times a negative 2 is a negative 8 there. And then if you do the outers and the inners, when you multiply the binomials out, you'll end up having a negative 2x plus 4x would be this 2x there. So I know I've got this thing factored correctly. Now I'm going to put this thing on a number line here where I'm going to take my x plus 4, and if you set that equal to 0, you get x equals negative 4, right? So that negative 4 is going to be what I like to call a tipping point between where it's going to be truth or false to true or something like that. Same story here. X minus 2, I'll set that equal to 0, so x will equal 2. And likewise, that's going to be what I call a tipping point, where it could go false to true or true to false, or maybe even true to true. More on that in a few minutes. Now, I've got 3 intervals that have just been created here. I've got an interval between negative infinity to negative 4, and I'll put a parenthesis here, because we're talking greater than. If that was greater than or equal to, this would have been a bracket on the negative 4, right? Okay. And then I got the parentheses negative 4 to 2, and then parentheses 2 to infinity. So I've created 3 different intervals to work with here. So the first interval, I'm going to test a point inside that interval. Let's test, say, x equals negative 5. Okay. I don't want to test negative 4 because that's on the boundary of this interval. So I'll test a point right inside this guy. Alright, so I'll plug it in to either one of these. I like to plug it in the factored form myself. So negative 5 plus 4, and then negative 5 minus 2. Is that going to be bigger than 0? Well, that's a negative 1 times a negative 7 trying to be bigger than 0. Well, that's 7 is greater than 0, and that's true. That means that this interval, this negative 5, which is inside this interval, was an ambassador of that entire interval. So since that point worked, then all points within this interval from negative infinity to negative 4 will work. So that interval is going to be part of my answer, is what I'm saying. Now let's test a point inside the interval between negative 4 and 2. Say 0. If 0 is available, then by all means use it. You can see it already. 0 plus 4 times 0 minus 2, is that going to be bigger than 0? Well, that's 4 times negative 2 trying to be bigger than 0. That's negative 8. No. That's going to be false. Which means that entire interval will not work. Okay? So I'm guessing you're probably figuring out what this next interval is going to do. Let's test 3. Okay? I like to test when I test my points, I try to test points within the interval that are as close to 0 as I can. Okay, the smaller the number that's closer to 0, the better. So let's test 3. Let's see. So that's going to be 3 plus 4 times 3 minus 2, trying to be bigger than 0. That's 7 times 1 is greater than 0. So 7 is bigger than 0. That makes it true. So if you guessed that was going to be true on this, then you're right. More on that in a few minutes. So I've got these 2 intervals here that are going to be in my answer. So if you remember back to my Unit 2 where we first started talking about interval notation, when you have 2 intervals that are in your answer like this, connect them with a union sign. Okay, so we've got negative infinity to negative 4, and then 2 to infinity with the union sign and parentheses throughout. There is a little bit of a shortcut you can use on this. I kind of hesitate to talk about it because sometimes people abuse it a little too much and they think they can use it when they really can't. What that shortcut is this. Notice that I have alternating answers here. I had true, false, and then true, right? If you're dealing with 2 factors, okay, 2 factors, that's what I have here, and your factors are both raised to the first power, right? So it's not like I have x plus 4 squared or anything like that. So if you have 2 factors both raised to the first power, then that's going to happen. you're either going to have true then false then true, or you'll have false then true then false. Okay? How do you know which one's which? Well, first of all, one set has to be a 0, and if everything is greater than 0, or if everything is greater than or equal to 0, then you're going to have the 2 outside factors as your answer. So the middle guy will not be part of your answer, but the 2 outside intervals will be part of your answer. And again, I reiterate, that will only happen if you have 2 factors greater than 0 here, and they're both raised to the first power. The minute one of these guys is squared or cubed or anything, all bets are off, okay? You're going to run into a whole different ball game, and if you stick around, I'll show another video where that happens.